I've got some more Midjourney styles here for you today, submitted by viewers of this channel. All of them are really incredible, and I want to say thank you to everyone who submitted. Now, the first one comes from the web stylist, talks about in response to Nike style, which I showed last week. He said he liked to use Adidas style, which I thought was a pretty cool sort of thing to try. So I tried Adidas style, and I love that it's already got the 3 stripes there. We move on to Goku. He's got his Adidas gear on, ready for battle. Hasn't gone Super Saiyan yet, so he's probably just warming up. And the Hulk got Adidas shorts and shoes on. He's really repping that. It looks like he's turned from Team Nike on to Team Adidas. And the Terminator got his Adidas hoodie on. It's got the stripes down over the shoulders and the sleeves, and a little logo there just above the chest. And of course, the samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, he's all streetwise, streeted up with Adidas gear, ready to go down to this temple, which I did actually prompt for, which is interesting. And of course, Darth Vader's got an Adidas jacket on. I thought that was really cool. It's like Star Wars has gone a little bit more street, but just the way it's done, it's really cool. Even the little stripes down on the shoulder and the arm that are more subtle this time around. An email here from Gavin, and he has used in the style of a TV show, The Clone Wars, and got some pretty interesting results. So I thought I would try that for myself as well. So we got here in the style of animated TV show, The Clone Wars. So we got here Goku, and he's looking a little more three-dimensional, holding a lightsaber. It's not exactly Clone Wars style, but I mean, it sort of captures the essence. We move on to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I found this tends to work better with people, but I got a very Clone Wars style version of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Even though it doesn't look Star Warsy, the proportions I think match pretty decently. And Tupac, I thought this was a different one to try this week, something a bit different. They've really captured the Clone Wars essence and managed to make it look somewhat like Tupac. And the futuristic car actually looks like a Star Wars vehicle. It's got that red and kind of really worn futuristic look to it. So Alan Fox asking about the statues and figures of characters in anime from collectible resin ones we used to put in our shelves. So I've got here collectible figure made of resin. So we've got here Goku looking like a very cool little resin figure. I think that looks pretty interesting and looks pretty photorealistic. Then we have a samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji. That background, the way it's sort of like got a photo in the background blurred, looks like an actual little statue. And the Incredible Hulk. I love the little side shots it has. Even though they're out of focus, it just adds something a little unique to this picture. And the futuristic car looks like a little statue of a car, which I thought was actually pretty interesting. And Pikachu looks like a little statue of Pikachu, and I think turned out pretty well. Again, these all look pretty photorealistic, and I like the little bits of wear and texture it adds to them as well. And we've also got a few vector styles here, so a good follow-up from the vector video we did last week, asking about a few different vector design versions. So I've started with complex vector design. We've got Goku, and this is a bit of a vector-looking design with a little bit of a noise added to it. And Darth Vader. That really cool, kind of like low-poly shattered look, I think, is just an interesting image overall. It's a vector, but there's a few areas there that might be a little problematic, but overall, a cool image. So the beautiful waterfall in nature has turned out really well, and I think this would vectorize really, really quite well if you were to pop it onto a vector converter. And the futuristic car. This is just a really cool car, a really cool sort of idea for like a car illustration, very digital and pretty vector-like. And the Incredible Hulk, I thought this was really cool, a really good sort of outcome for this particular phrase, something that I think looks like actual vector art that you've seen on a professional artist website. And the modern family home, nice, simple vector art, very 2D and very cool. And the Terminator, once again, kind of like the Hulk, not quite as cool, but I think a really nice, simple interpretation of this style and worked out pretty well, although he does have lips, which I think is a little funny. And then we have mascot vector design adapted for t-shirt printing. That tiger looks so cool. But we move on to the beautiful waterfall in nature, and this looks like an actual t-shirt design. And something that maybe if you creative upscale, it might clean up some of the noise and make something you could maybe actually convert into a vector. And Darth Vader, another really cool, clean version of the helmet. A few little sort of spotted noisy bits again, but overall, the vast majority of it is vector and looking pretty cool. And Pikachu, I love this half-tone effect it's added with Pikachu. This is just a really, really cool image, and I love the blue outline and bits around him. And the Incredible Hulk always seems to get a good result when it comes to vector. I really love that. And the waviness of his hair, I thought, makes him look like he's just washed his hair with shampoo and conditioner, then gone out, hulked out to fight crime. And Goku, this one is super clean. I mean, apart from the background, but the actual Goku face and hair, I love how vectorized this looks, and it's just a really, really useful image, I think, if you're trying to create something Dragon Ball Z-esque. Now, if you haven't already, check out my Midjourney style pack. Over 1,000 styles you can apply to your Midjourney prompts to get some pretty stunning images. And vector cartoon version. So once again, we've got Goku. This looks like another clean vector, but more of a straight up cartoon, a little less stylized. And the Incredible Hulk, same thing. A little less stylized, just like a pose from a cartoon. Really clean and just a really neat image. And the car, a lot of detail gone out of this and opted for that super simplistic vector look. And Pikachu again, this one has a little bit more of the kind of like little details in the shadowing and the way that a lot of vector artists create that really cool sort of detailed effect within their vector artwork. And the beautiful waterfall in nature, it's just a nice clean image made out of lots of flat colors, something that should vectorize up pretty easily if you were to throw it onto a converter. And then the samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, same again. Apart from the gradient from the top of Mount Fuji downwards, it's all pretty flat, all pretty simple, and just a really cool, simple image. And Modern Family Home, again, another very simple vector image. Looks like it's actually been drawn by an artist with a few sort of very straight lines. It's actually, Midjourney is getting really good at straightening up straight lines, which is interesting. And the Terminator, you can see he is nice low angle on him, cartoony version, vector friendly. So this phrase I think is going to be pretty useful if you're trying to create vector characters. And of course, Darth Vader, same again. Got that nice vector friendly version of him that I think would convert pretty well. Now, in response to my vintage collector's tin on a previous video, River Fox has gone for vintage lunchbox. It's uniquely American and, for example, vintage Star Wars lunchbox. I've mixed this up a little bit, but we've got vintage lunchbox. You can see here the kind of image you get straight up with no sort of subject added. But we add vintage USA lunchbox and we get this cool map of the United States with a flag that I think is really cool. I thought I really need to do something USA with this one to sort of fit that uniquely American vintage lunchbox style. And the Terminator, big, scary Terminator skull on a lunchbox. If this was for kids, it was to scare the other children, to let them know that you weren't to be messed with. And the Incredible Hulk probably wanted the same effect, but everyone likes the Hulk. He's not, although he's angry, I don't think he's as scary as the Terminator, at least on a lunchbox like this. And Pikachu, he ain't scaring no one. He's just a cool vintage lunchbox style. And because of that nice, simple, flat artwork, it really works quite well. And the Star Wars lunchbox, as mentioned in the comment, vintage Star Wars lunchbox, didn't disappoint. We got Princess Leia, and I was going to say Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, but if you take a close look, you got two Luke Skywalkers and one of them is wearing a Han Solo jacket. So that's Midjourney for you, or AI in general, not always getting the details right. And the futuristic car, I think it's just sort of tried to turn the car into a lunchbox, a little less, more of a vintage car style. So a little bit of a different result with that one. And Goku, I really like this one, and the way that the opening of the lunchbox cuts right through the middle of the picture, I thought was a nice touch. And this one is not actually a recommendation, but my mate Morpheus, thanks for the distilled liquid inspiration matured in fine oak casks drizzled with honey glaze, poured directly into freshly shucked honey-starved ears. So I decided to break this apart, and I got some pretty cool images. So I got distilled liquid inspiration, and you can see here Pikachu. He is made out of liquid. Liquid's flying everywhere. It looks like a very action-packed kind of shot. And then Darth Vader looks like a bottle of some kind of expensive alcohol, something that only people in the rich end of the galaxy will drink. And the Incredible Hulk is distilled liquid, that another action-y type shot similar to Pikachu. And then I've added drizzle with honey glaze, the second part of the comment. And we get something different again. Goku, dripping with honey, completely different and unique. Really cool image. Darth Vader looks like he's been headfirst into the honey pot, hanging out with Winnie the Pooh a little bit too much. And of course, the Incredible Hulk, similar thing, but he hulked out, and I think some of that honey is spread out and landed around him. And the beautiful waterfall in nature is turned it into honey or some kind of gold water. I really like the way it interpreted the honey into the waterfall. And the Terminator, really cool, kind of like honey over the endoskeleton type skin. Something a bit different. The Modern Family Home doesn't look anything honey, but the way it's used the gold in the lighting colors, I just thought was worth mentioning. So it sort of does rely heavily on the color, even if you don't see any actual honey in the image. And of course, Pikachu looks like a honey jar, very Winnie the Pooh-esque as well, down to the fact that he looks a little bit larger, if you know what I mean. And then I've got the full Comet, distilled liquid inspiration drizzle with a honey glaze poured directly into freshly shucked honey-starved ears. So Goku, look at this really cool image, the floating bubbles. I thought this was really cool and very unique. And Darth Vader looks almost like a solid honey Darth Vader helmet, while the Incredible Hulk covered in honey. Once again, he's a bit angry looking, probably because he's covered in honey and it's very sticky. And the Terminator looks like that honey skin is melted off and we can still see the residue there. But overall, just a really cool sort of honey-esque skull. And Pikachu, again, looks like he's actually made out of honey and wax, so a little bit different from the last one and a little more photorealistic. And the futuristic car in a puddle of honey, made out of honey, very different effect, and I'm glad I experimented with this phrase. And surreal horror manga with grotesque anatomy. An email sent to me, and this is really good. So you can see here, surreal horror manga with grotesque anatomy. This looks incredible. When you move on to Goku, it is definitely horror. So, but that manga style, and I haven't even used Niji mode in this, so I recommend experimenting with that. But even just straight version 6, got some very, very cool images. And Pikachu, once again, very horror, very grotesque, but that drawing style, very cool. The Terminator, it's actually really just a skull. It's not really the Terminator, but I really love the effect it's had with even the bits and pieces around the skull. And the Incredible Hulk, he's basically coming to pieces, but that manga style drawing and even the writing up in the top left hand corner, really cool. And samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji. He's like a skull, horror-filled samurai, and a little less manga, but definitely horror. And the futuristic car. The car has teeth and kind of like a weird tongue and the red lights of eyes. Even though they're not specifically eyes, that's just kind of how it looks because of the teeth. Very interesting interpretation by Midjourney on this one. And a modern family home. This is just really dark. There's a child with 2 skeleton parents. I don't even know what to say about that. And the beautiful waterfall in nature. The skulls added to the waterfall. I really think this was an interesting touch. And Darth Vader, he looks like he is sort of infected and in pain. Very horror-y sort of Darth Vader, as you can see, with the bits and pieces starting to appear and missing from his helmet. We've got another one here. I hope you make a video focused on movement, like in motion, dancing, action scenes, spiral. You can read all this stuff. I decided to just go straight in and do a couple of each because there's a lot here, and we got some pretty interesting results. So Pikachu, ballet dancer. I decided to, when you talk about dancing, pick a few different dancers, and I got some interesting effects with ballet dancer, including Hulk. He is really training hard for the big dance show, and you can see there, he's got his tutu on, ready to go. Darth Vader, using those moves, really trying his best, and it looks pretty photorealistic. And Goku, I love the way his pants are kind of ripped up to look like a tutu, but yeah, just a really interesting image. And then hip-hop dancing. So we've got guys dancing, wearing the hip-hop clothing, so it adds a real hip-hop element. And the Terminator's got his jacket on, got some hip-hop moves, dancing around, and there's a nice light overhead. And Darth Vader, lots of gold chains, very gangster, doing his rap dance, I think. Very cool. Everything's baggy too, which I thought was also interesting. Then we got doing the boogie woogie dance. You can see here with Goku. I don't know if he's really doing it effectively, but he's trying. Same with the Terminator. I don't know if he's really doing it effectively, but he is trying with his dance moves. And of course, Darth Vader, again, out on the dance floor, cutting his boogie woogie moves. And I really think it's another interesting thing. You notice this is actually in the Star Wars universe if you check out some of the characters in the background. And also Pikachu dancing, just good old-fashioned dancing. He's just dancing for joy. Same with Darth Vader. He's home after the dance club. He's put the red lights on and he's decided to cut one last move before heading off to bed. And the samurai in front of Mount Fuji, looks like he's doing a form of some sort, not really dancing, but still, I thought that was pretty cool. And action scene, you can see here Pikachu, he's about to attack, kill, destroy. I thought that was a really interesting sort of use of Pikachu, and it looks very cinematic. And the Hulk, he's jumping up, he's about to go and jump on someone. Very action-filled. The whole this phrase, action scene, works pretty well. Darth Vader has the lightsaber ignited, and even though he's just wearing a helmet, he somehow has a look of a determination on his face, like he's about to go and chop someone up. And of course, the Terminator, big explosion at the back, flying in, ready to make some action happen. And of course, spiral blur. We've got Pikachu with a nice spiral blur around him. Same thing again with Goku. This has a bit of an action scene sort of feel to it as well, where it looks like he's generating some energy to attack. And then we've got flying. I thought it was interesting that the modern car, it had the modern cars just fly or float a little bit. And you move on to Darth Vader, and he has discovered that he can do force flight. And he's still not very happy because he hasn't figured out force healing. And the Incredible Hulk, I don't know whether he's flying or just jumping, but really cool image. And Goku flying through the air, looking very, very determined. And of course, we've got playing basketball. So I had a few different things in that comment about playing different sports. So I put basketball in there. Darth Vader's out on the court trying to, get his game on. And a futuristic car is also playing basketball somehow. Just a really cool image. And Pikachu looks like he's trying to get that basketball, but I think he won't have too much trouble because the ball looks bigger than the ring itself, so I don't think anyone's actually going to be scoring in that game. And playing tennis. Terminator is ready to serve up and play some tennis, and Hulk is very determined. He's ready for the Terminator's serve. He's got the racket ready behind the ball, ready to hit back, and he looks like he's very determined to win. And of course, the waterfall in nature, playing tennis, just popped a tennis court right in front of the waterfall. That looks like a very cool place to play a game. And playing baseball, we got Goku lined up with his bat, ready to hit. Same again with Darth Vader, although he pulled out his lightsaber. So I don't know if he's playing the game by himself, but I wanted to point out, if you see the TIE fighters and that in the background, he's in the middle of a battle and he's decided to whip out the baseball glove and ball and have a game all on his own. So he's probably going to chop up that ball. I don't know if he realizes that won't work like a baseball bat. And the futuristic car, we've got another car. It looks baseball-y for some reason, and there's a giant baseball in the air, so it's playing baseball as well. And Pikachu running, so the act of running, he is running through the air, and so is the Terminator. He is out, he's forgotten something, and he's running back home, whereas we got Darth Vader. And again, if you followed one of the other videos recently, he's missed the bus yet again, and he's off trying to grab that bus. And because he's in a bit of a rush, he's decided to do some parkour. So we've got jumping here, still trying to get to that bus so we can get to the Death Star before it leaves. And the Incredible Hulk jumping through the air, that hand nice and mangled, nice proof of AI, and his toes look a bit funny too on one of those feet, but he is jumping through the air nonetheless. And fighting, Darth Vader has found an old retired Jedi Knight, and he's about to chop him up by the looks of it. And we've got this cool futuristic car. Looks like it's off in battle, shooting up some other car, racing through the streets. Very cool, action-packed image. And Goku going Super Saiyan, ready to attack. This I thought was a really cool image as well. And the Terminator is fighting another Terminator. I like the way that the face does kind of look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Quite often it doesn't, but it's kind of put the two together nicely. And Pikachu, Fractal glue. We're moving on to some of the Fractal elements now, and I tried something different with this one as well, but this one looked nice, kind of creepy. Same with Incredible Hulk. That Fractal element has added like some skin kind of shredding off of his face. And I've got Fractal Pigeon. Now, this one I thought would be different because of the fact that it's supposed to be just a material, but I added pigeon, so Darth Vader's got a pigeon on him. But Goku turned into a pigeon. The hair has become part of the image, and he looks like a Super Saiyan pigeon. And even another one, it's kind of like a pigeon in a Goku outfit. I just thought that I didn't get a single Goku out of this. I got just various pigeons. And Incredible Hulk, he has turned into a green pigeon, so that's something a little bit different as well. And Pikachu, he once again is a yellow pigeon, little fractal pieces, very different sort of image. Now we've got Fractal Red Jelly. The Terminator has this red skull appearance. Doesn't look like the Terminator, it just looks like a really cool red skull image, but made out of red jelly. And Goku, once again, made out of red jelly. Got some weird kind of like flames or whatever it is coming off of him. And Fractal Paper with Goku. Another interesting impact. It's sort of glowing a little bit from the ears, but just an interesting image, the way that it looks kind of like three-dimensional. And the Terminator, once again, made out of paper, although this paper looks to be a little bit harder than the one that was made to sort of make Goku. And the futuristic car, it looks more like metal, but it is a fractal paper prompt. It all has that folded look to it. But there is a fractal metal prompt here. We've got Darth Vader, looks very trippy and different. And the futuristic car is just kind of like a metal car. I don't think there's really anything special about this one, but it was cool to compare the two. And we've got Fractal Wax. Pikachu looks like a wax sculpture. And if you look really closely, it's like there's little lines carved in around the nose and in certain areas, little details that I think are really interesting. And in Samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, like a wax sculpture, but like a really dull grey wax sculpture for some reason. The clouds and everything looks really cool. And the Terminator, I love the way this looks like wax, and just the detail in it just looks incredible. And Goku looks like a piece of kind of like wax soap or something. But this I thought was another really cool use of that phrase, and it really looks like a proper Dragon Ball Z image. River Fox is back with another longer, more fine-tuned style, which works best with version 5.2. Produces some great and consistent results. It's sitting in a Parisian street cafe, portrait by Willem. I don't know if I can read that word. Colorful mix ink drawing, centered, perfect composition, abstraction. So you can see here, Goku. It's just that painting style. It doesn't look exactly like Goku, but you can tell it's inspired by him. But that painting style, very reminiscent in all of them. You can see it in Pikachu. It has that real world sort of feel to it in the way that he's wearing like the very commoner type clothing, except it's Pikachu. Even Darth Vader is just sitting, minding his own business, having a coffee. Because he's missed the bus, he thought he may as well go and grab a drink. And of course, the Terminator, he's wearing a jacket and glasses. I guess that's all it takes to be a Terminator in the Parisian street cafe universe. And of course, a futuristic car. You can see the consistency in the painting style here. Very, very consistent. Even the colors, and it just really, really awesome result that you can really sort of rely on it to get a particular type of image. And the samurai sitting in front of Mount Fuji, he is sitting at a cafe looking at Mount Fuji. So I like the way it's combined those two scenes, because there are conflicting sort of words in this prompt. And the Incredible Hulk, he's got his shirt and pants on, but he's still green, so he must be on his way down from his great rage. And one more from River Fox in the styles of Gothic Fantasy, Zentangle Art, and Mandelbrot set Fractal Art. I've done this style, but I've also decided to break it up as well for a bit of fun. So you can see the kind of effect we get here. Very interesting. We've got the full phrase. Apply it to Goku. The way it's framed up and kind of like added the sun or moon, whatever it is behind him in that mountain, has a manga effect to it, but with a Zentangle sort of spin. You move on to the Hulk, got the same thing. His skin has got all these sort of all these patterns applied to it, and the background has a very Doctor Strange Mirrorverse kind of symmetry to it, which I really like. And Darth Vader, he's just heavily decorated. Looks like he's lying on a very fancy and expensive quilt to get some black and white photography. And the samurai, I just love the effect is actually added to the waves on this particular image, and it's kind of embedded some of it in the background. Just a really interesting twist on that image. And the modern family home, just the clouds and everything. This is a really cool image. The home has a certain style to it, like the driveway, the patterns on the building, the sky. Every ounce of this image has got something in it, which is very interesting. In Pikachu, we get a very cool looking Pikachu. He's got 4 ears, just different. I really like what it's done with this image. And waterfall in nature has also given it a bit of a different effect. Also, waterfall flowing through the middle, and all of that effect kind of applied to the mist and to the trees. It's like it takes the elements of the image and kind of twists it up and makes something interesting out of it with each one. And now to break them up, we have in the style of Gothic Fantasy. Goku looks really hardcore, something completely different. Incredible Hulk looks like he's armored up and ready for battle. Definitely something like fantasy D&D style. And Darth Vader, this is a really cool, different take on Darth Vader, like a different era of him, and I think it's just really cool. Terminator just looks a bit different. I don't really get the element in this one, but you move on to the house, and it looks like an old-fashioned house, despite the fact it's a modern family home. It kind of fits the Gothic Fantasy bill a bit. And the futuristic car, the way it's in a cave, and the design of the car, very cool mix of the two styles. And Pikachu, he is looking dark and evil. Even that cape with the torn edges I thought was a really nice touch. And the beautiful waterfall in nature, that bridge that's decayed and fallen off at the bottom, and the details added around that. Very, very cool scene. And Zentangle art. I have done Zentangle before, but I don't think I've done Zentangle art specifically. But it's always good to touch on this stuff again. I think it looks really cool. Goku looks like he's got some really cool tattoos on him. It's like a black and white ink drawing. And the Incredible Hulk, same again, like some tattoos, but just Very interesting effect in the way that's filled in the details of the image. Darth Vader, the same. The fact that one eye is kind of like patched up and the other isn't is very, very interesting sort of use of those patterns. And the samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, I like the use of color. It hasn't got as much of a Zentangle sort of like filling, but the way it's drawn and the shapes, very reminiscent of that style. And Modern Family Home just looks like a cool drawing with those elements. And of course, futuristic car looks cool. Very, I love the background around the car as well. Very interesting effect. And Pikachu, he looks tatted up, Zentangle tattoos all over, but the face showing looks like a very cool image, and I like the way it's kind of popped the pen on the side of this image as well. And Mandelbrot set Fractal art. This image alone looks pretty cool. Yeah, to Goku, you get that same effect passed on, except for the eyes, which is a really nice effect. And the same thing with the Incredible Hulk. He looks like he's sort of stuck in a fractal art universe. He's trying to sort of like get out. Darth Vader, he looks like he is the commander of that universe, just the way it's all embedded in him as opposed to surrounding and enveloping him. Whereas the Terminator looks like he is part of that. So very cool effect on the skull, and the fact that it has the glowing eyes is a nice touch too. And the home, Modern Family Home. This home looks really cool and artistic, and even the tree is a different sort of look. This looks like something you could possibly see in real life. However, I doubt you would see it, the amount of work that would go into making something like this. And futuristic car, the tunnel, the way the tunnel has that effect. The car itself is actually just smooth and reflective, but because of the reflective nature of it, kind of reflects those patterns back at you. And Pikachu, he is sort of like in the mess of it all. Very cool effect. And even the different texture of his skin, it makes for an interesting effect also. And one of the styles I play with is 1950s double exposure. Now this is cool. It takes that double exposure look and adds a 1950s vintage feel to it. So Goku, it looks like a photo. The hair is right, but the face is a little bit more photorealistic. Move on to Hulk, we've got an old-fashioned style photo, and I don't know what the second exposure is, but you can see there's definitely something there. And Darth Vader, you can see there's a bit of a forest image behind him. Old-fashioned looking photo yet again. And the Terminator, 50s style hairdo, doesn't even look like Arnie, but again, the jacket and the sunnies, it's all you need to look like a Terminator in the Midjourney sort of like interpretation of things. And Modern Family Home, old-fashioned home, it looks like it's actually just the reflection of glass or something sitting like it's a framed image, but overall it has that really old-fashioned look to it, and it is double exposed because you can sort of see in the sky the way that the reflection has been added over the top. Adds that sort of double exposure effect. And a futuristic car, again, different effect, the way it's got some buildings sort of overlaid. We've got the car sort of in there twice. Very interesting effect. Pikachu, he is kind of like got a double exposure effect as well. A little harder to nail down, but definitely an interesting image and has that old sort of like creepy sort of feel to it. Materialized psychisms, I hope that's how it's pronounced. This is a really cool effect, as you can see with this image here in the face. I love the way it's sort of like embedded in there. Goku, we get something a little bit different with him, but still a really cool image. I like the little cat embedded just above his head up there. But Samurai standing in front of Mount Fuji, the way it's kind of got like a dark earth placed above Mount Fuji makes it for a very interesting image. And you move on to Darth Vader, there's little skulls and things in his helmet. It looks very kind of like a rusted sort of appearance, different than what I expected. The Terminator, you get some pretty different results, I find, with this particular phrase, but it's just really cool. And I like the way it's got the use of red and blue in this image. And this is another email I got from a subscriber saying, I don't know if this is a style, but I like drawn with alcohol ink. So you can see here, this is what alcohol ink looks like. So just popping drawn with alcohol ink onto your prompts works pretty well. Again, Goku looks like he is actually powering up again, like from Dragon Ball Super, I think. I haven't watched that show for a long time, but it kind of has that appearance. Hulk, that same painting style, looking very cool, bleeding off the edge. And Darth Vader, I like the use of purples and pinks, something you don't typically see, but really sort of takes that alcohol ink look and makes it work. And the Terminator, once again, just a really cool style. The way that the paint drips off to the side, I thought makes for a very interesting image. In the Modern Family Home, again, same style. The sky really has that appearance, that kind of like bled out and sort of dried up ink look. So I think overall that's a really good interpretation of that phrase. In a futuristic car, I just like the way the car looks in this, the way that the doors actually open vertically instead of opening out. Just a really awesome image, and it still has that painted effect, so just a cool picture overall. And Pikachu, this very messy looking version, it's a very consistent style, but you do still get some variety within that style, and I think it's a really cool phrase to experiment with. But those are all of the styles for this week, guys. Thank you to everyone who submitted. I'm getting so many of these, and it's really cool. I'm picking up so many awesome styles from you guys, so thanks again. But that's the video for today, guys. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a like. Otherwise, I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.